Alison Krauss stood on the biggest, fanciest stages that most musicians only dream about. She's an amazing, amazing talent. She has won a huge record of 26 Grammy Awards. That's 26 Grammy Awards, you guys! The spotlights were so bright they could blind you. You could hear people clapping and cheering from the fancy balconies covered in soft velvet. For many years, her voice felt like it would never stop. Her fiddle playing was as quick and bright as a flash of lightning. Then, almost like it happened overnight, everything suddenly changed. The golden girl of bluegrass music, the queen who could sing any kind of music, started to disappear from the world. At first, everyone was wondering, was she just really, really tired? Did she get fed up and annoyed with the music business? As the quiet time got longer and longer, people started asking more and more questions. She stopped doing interviews, and even the people in her band who knew her best seemed really careful about what they said. You know, just to your ear, kind of like disasters instead of what you wanted to get out there. What nobody expected or saw coming was how deep and serious her struggle really was. For me, the way the records were made and the speed of making the records and her time away from music grew longer and felt heavier. Some people called it a break from work, other people called it hiding away from everything, but inside the real story, there was a dark shadow that just wouldn't go away or move. Something important had broken inside. Every silver lining, every good thing, always seems to have a rain cloud hanging over it. Now, with the whole world watching and waiting, Alison Krauss is finally back. It wasn't there before, and then my brother's like, "Oh, wow, this is like a brand new time for the band. Like his eyes were so wide, Mom." I'm like, whoa. The reason she was gone is nothing that anyone expected or guessed. Alison Krauss had never been someone who was scared of pressure or hard work. From the time she was a teenager, people said she was a special kid with amazing talent, a quiet but powerful force in bluegrass music. I always listened to men singing this kind of stuff. Men, her fiddle bow carved out and created melodies, beautiful music that nobody else in the world could touch or copy. Awards started piling up, first at small music festivals, then on big national stages that everyone watches. By the time she really hit her best years with her band called Union Station, Alison Krauss and Union Station, everyone, she was completely changing and redefining what country music could sound like. She became the voice that music producers begged and pleaded for, the artist that other musicians really wanted to work with, the perfect symbol for a new kind of American music. The music industry, which is always hungry for the next big thing, circled around her talent like sharks. Everyone's expectations pressed in on her, sharp and never-ending. She went on tour constantly, traveling all the time. Her name kept climbing higher and higher on the charts. Her life became like a big blur of interviews, practice sessions, and long bus rides through empty highways in the middle of nowhere. On stage, she gave absolutely everything she had. Off stage, when no one was watching, the tiredness and exhaustion began to pile up and gather. It's kind of like it got into this mind game where, if I do it right now, it won't be as good as it could be next week if I wait. Her friends and the people she worked with noticed it was taking a toll on her. The way her laughter became more careful and guarded. Her answers to questions became more measured and thought out. Even her music itself started to carry the heavy weight of it all, the longing and wishing for quiet, a pause, a moment to breathe. We looked at each other and said, "Well, hey, maybe we should just carry on and keep going." And we thought about it a little bit. But at the very top and height of her fame, when she was most popular, Alison Krauss seemed like nothing could touch her or bring her down. She had won more Grammy Awards than any woman in the entire history of music. She worked and collaborated with famous icons. She delivered albums that never, ever missed their mark or failed. Yet under the surface, underneath it all, her body was already sending warning signals and signs. Yeah, you do know. But I can't say there's anything specific other than you. It all began quietly and slowly. A tiredness and fatigue that just would not fade away or go away. Headaches that stuck around and lingered even after the bright stage lights went out. Then the real. Terrible blow landed and hit her hard, a voice that would not obey or do what she wanted. Krauss was diagnosed with something called dysphonia. It's a condition that attacks the very thing that had made her a star in the first place. For a singer, for someone whose whole job in life was the fragile, delicate magic of vocal cords in her throat, it was like a slow-motion disaster happening right before her eyes. The words would not come out the way they once did before. The notes in songs wavered and shook. Her confidence slipped away. Performances on stage felt suddenly dangerous and scary. The doctors ordered her to be completely silent. No talking, no singing. So, it wasn't natural to sing right above him. And so, I wondered and worried about how we would do that. Shows and concerts were canceled and stopped. Schedules were cleared and emptied. The amazing golden run of success hit a brick wall. She was forced to step back and away from everything she loved. The silence was not just about her job and career. It was personal and deep. The sound of her own voice, which used to be her greatest gift from God, now felt like a betrayal, like her body was turning against her. The people around her saw her pull back and withdraw from everyone. The endless energy she used to have was replaced by being super careful about everything. Every decision she made, every attempt to sing again came with the scary threat of disappointment and failure. She was trapped and caught between what she used to be able to do easily and the fear of never being able to do it again, ever. The struggle was relentless and never-ending. Nights became like battlegrounds filled with hope and frustration fighting each other. There were days when even just speaking and talking felt like a huge risk she shouldn't take. At certain points in your life, everything just changes, you know? Like you don't look at anything the same way anymore. Krauss was no longer just fighting for her career and job. She was fighting to keep and save the thing that had defined who she was since she was a little kid. The music industry, of course, noticed she was gone. Her absence was like a shockwave, a big surprise that rippled through everything. Headlines in newspapers and magazines quietly speculated and guessed. Fans wondered and worried if she would ever return and come back. Rumors swirled around everywhere. Was it burnout from working too hard? Was there trouble with the band? Were there creative fights and disagreements? What they did not see or know about was the daily reality of her life, the rehab and retraining she had to do every single day. Krauss became like a student all over again. She sought out and found specialists and experts. She worked with vocal coaches who trained singers. She was rebuilding her voice from the ground up, from scratch. There was nothing glamorous or fancy about it at all. Each exercise she did was slow and painstaking, really hard work. Each day was like a test of her willpower and determination. Some days, making progress felt completely impossible. Each attempt would end in disappointment and sadness. Other days, just one single note would land and sound just right. Hope would flicker and shine at the edges like a little candle flame. It was a lonely, lonely climb upward. It was marked by constant second-guessing and doubting herself over and over. She watched other musicians and singers move forward without her. They took the stages and opportunities she had left behind. Interviews became rare, almost never happening. Her social media accounts went quiet and silent. For Krauss, the silence was both her medicine that helped her heal and her torment that hurt her. She missed the energy and excitement of the audience so much. She missed the thrill of singing in harmony with others. But she refused to risk coming back too soon, a false return that wasn't real. She would only come back if she could come back whole, complete and ready. During her forced retreat and break from music, Alison Krauss faced way more than just physical setbacks and problems. The break cracked open her private world and personal life. Isolation and being alone pressed in on her from all sides. Old fears she thought she'd beaten returned and came back. I'm paying attention to, I'm just looking for a likeness, like you know, a thread of feeling that connects things. Her perfectionism, the thing that used to be her secret weapon and strength, became a double-edged sword that could hurt her. The voice inside her head questioned every single plan she made. Was she still relevant and important? Would her audience remember who she was? Was there still a place left for her in a business that moves on so quickly and forgets people? While some people saw her absence as a smart, strategic pause behind closed doors where no one could see, it was anything but calm and peaceful. The stress, the longing and wanting to sing, the relentless doubt that never stopped. These were the dark shadows that filled up her quietest hours. Her friends and family worried about her constantly. They offered support, encouragement, and reminders of her legacy and all she'd accomplished. But the decision to come back could only be hers and hers alone. No one else could make it for her. The music industry does not wait around for anyone. Every year she stayed away added more and more to the risk. The silence stretched on and on. With each passing season, spring, summer, fall, winter, the pressure only got bigger and mounted higher. She wanted to return on her own terms, in her own way. But her own terms and standards were impossible to satisfy and meet. Start at the very beginning and go all the way through to the end. Never pick it up in the middle. You know, if I didn't get to hear the whole entire thing, I'd have to start back at the beginning again. Behind the scenes, where fans couldn't see, Union Station carried on without her. The band worked on side projects and other things. Some of them went on tour with different people. Some recorded music with other artists. They all knew exactly what was at stake and how important this was. When you've got a voice like that sitting up on the top of your mountain of whipped cream. Krauss's voice was the thread, the string holding them all together. She was the irreplaceable heart of the whole group. They respected her struggle and what she was going through. They gave her space and time. But everyone in the band felt the heavy weight of waiting and not knowing. Fans reached out to her online, sending messages, sharing memories of concerts they'd been to, albums they loved, and their favorite songs of hers. The world kept spinning around and around. The music world evolved and changed. New artists filled the gaps and empty spaces she left. New trends and styles claimed the spotlight and attention. But Krauss's absence left a hole, an empty space that nothing else could fill up. Once in a while, occasionally, she would make a quiet appearance somewhere, a one-time performance, a little hint that maybe, just maybe, she was finding her way back slowly. Each appearance brought hope and even more questions from everyone. Was this a real comeback or just a quick visit? The answer always seemed just out of reach, like trying to grab something you can't quite touch. The fight to reclaim and get back her voice was not just a physical battle with her body. Krauss had to relearn how to trust in herself again. Vocal exercises and training became like meditations, quiet and focused. Days started with silence, patience, and a relentless discipline and self-control that would have crushed and destroyed most other artists. Slowly, bit by bit, painstakingly and carefully, her voice began to return and come back. It was not the effortless, easy magic of her early years when she was young, but it was something different, something forged and created in struggle, patience, and humility. She listened differently now, in a new way. She paid closer attention to every single breath she took, every note she sang, every feeling she had. Gradually, little by little, the joy started to creep back in, sneaking in like sunlight through a window. Writing songs became less about chasing perfection and being perfect. It became more about honoring survival and getting through hard times. She collaborated and worked with others cautiously and carefully, making absolutely sure every project mattered and meant something. For the first time in her life, music was less about what the industry demanded and wanted from her. It was more about personal truth and what was real to her. She began to realize and understand that coming back would mean more than just singing again. It would mean facing the world, with all her scars and wounds showing, and daring it, challenging it to accept her on new terms. Then came the real turning point, the moment everything changed. Alison Krauss woke up one morning and realized the fear had finally loosened its grip on her. She had waited long enough. She was done waiting. The world had changed since she left, but guess what? So had she. The voice was not exactly the same as it used to be, but it was hers. It was shaped by pain and hurt, but strengthened by patience and time. She reached out to her bandmates, called them up, and together they started something brand new. It was not about reclaiming old glory and past fame. It was about gratitude and being thankful. It was about the music that still needed to be made and created. It was about giving the audience what they had waited so patiently for. The recording sessions in the studio were intense and powerful, sometimes really emotional, but always honest and real. As the new album took shape and came together, Krauss found herself actually enjoying the process again. She was laughing more, worrying way less. The first rehearsals and practice sessions felt like coming home after a long journey. The comeback was no longer a question or a maybe. It was a fact. It was real. Fans would soon understand and realize that the long silence was not weakness or giving up. It was a fight that only she could win, and she did. It's what I see in my mind. Yeah, it's like watching a movie unfold. The return of Alison Krauss was not a simple, easy story of being gone and then coming back. It was a hard-fought victory, a win carved out and created from loss, uncertainty and not knowing, and the slow, long process of healing. She could have chosen to let go completely, to step away forever and never come back. But she did not do that. She didn't give up. The real reason she returned and came back was not for fame or being famous. It wasn't for pressure from others. It wasn't even nostalgia or missing the old days. It was the rediscovery of the thing she had almost lost forever, the music itself, the pure joy of music. In the end, it was not her voice that made the real difference. It was her will, her determination to keep searching for it and never stop trying. For every fan who waited patiently, for every musician who wondered what happened, for everyone who doubted she'd return, her story is proof, evidence that sometimes just surviving is the greatest act of all. If you want more true stories like this, more deep dives into music's greatest voices and legends, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and join us for the next chapter of our journey.